Leading legal expert Jonathan Mamaril says time is running out for struggling businesses to get their affairs in order and avoid becoming a statistic. Jonathan joins me live now. Hi, Jonathan.
Hi, how you going?
Look, this is a terrifying time for a lot of businesses. They've been dreading this deadline. What exactly is a zombie business when we say that phrase? And I guess how many are actually out there?
Yeah, it's really companies that have really heavily relied upon subsidies to really continue the organisation going through this COVID period. A number of organisations, especially in industries such as tourism, hospitality, have heavily relied upon these subsidies to pay for not just wage costs, but costs and operational costs overall. And that's where the problem is. We're going to potentially see a number of businesses really struggle without these JobKeeper payments.
So how many businesses are actually at risk of going under when JobKeeper actually ends at the end of this month?
There's a large percentage, and there's many statistics out there from a number of organisations, but the reality is I think there's key industries that are going to really suffer the most. Those involved in hospitality, those involved in tourism, those types of industries. Retail is probably another. And then, of course, the cascading businesses that service those industries as well. Yes, we've seen some organisations pivot and move in a different direction, potentially provide different products and services to soften that blow. But I think in terms of those JobKeeper payments, we haven't seen really huge collapses yet because it's really covered under these payments. And the other side as well is organisations that were already struggling. So going into COVID, they were already struggling, were obtaining these JobKeeper payments and still kept their cost structures at the same level.
So what advice, I guess, you have for businesses looking to make staff redundant ahead of the JobKeeper program ending? Because obviously there's a few complexities to that, and businesses are obviously needing to get that process right, aren't they?
Yeah, the key point is you really need to cut the fat, not the muscle. And what I mean by that is, first thing is start to assess your costs. So as a business, there's going to be a number of costs. A big one, of course, will be wages, but there's also leases. You've got assets, could be equipment, subscriptions, etc. Start going through that and assessing your costs. Usually the biggest cost is going to be your workforce. So looking at assessing and potentially restructuring your workforce. Yeah. And I don't mean necessarily just by redundancies, which is potentially one way to do it, but also looking at maybe creative ways. Are there positions that could be doubled up? Do you really require that many salespeople, for example? How will you decide to do that? And there's a lot of legal implications, unfortunately, for all those steps. So having those tough conversations now, as we speak, prior to this occurring, and really, hopefully, you've already started having those conversations, because there is quite a bit of a process. There's consultation processes, there's a number of legal obligations under industrial instruments. So really cutting that fat, not the muscle, trying to keep the good people or keep the people that potentially are going to produce for you. That's the way going forward.
Yeah, well, it's certainly a complex time for a lot of businesses. We really appreciate your insight on that topic this afternoon, Jonathan. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. Thank you.
You're on Ticker. We'll be back right after this.